Soul Life Part 2. Hello, this is Soul Life Part 2. I must correct a few things from the first part. The first is that this picture, what I show, Archangel Michael, has not been hanging here when I moved in. The picture I have someday seen and printed, because he holds the world in his hand and also the cross, which is a symbol. What was here, that the Archangel Michael as porcelain figure I show now, which stood in a room full of furniture. It had a broken wing. Then I, at some point, searched through the rooms. All was full of furniture, full of old things. I had found the broken wing. I glued it back. That was the beginning 2014. And I have Michael here since then in my storefront. Moment, I will show. This is my storefront, where I light since 2.5 years every evening candles. I have a lantern. Here is a 7-branch candlestick, the divine number 7, and here is Angel Michael. I need to get him out. Here you can see the symbolism of which I spoke in the first part. He keeps the foot on the head of Satan. This means symbolically, I have found you. The sword that he has in hand is a symbol of the spiritual power. It is a spiritual sword, because angels do not fight with weapons of metal. I will show you how the window looks like at night. It is a small part of another video. Sorry, my English is imperfect. These errors sometimes undermine me, because last year I had an accident. I fell from 1 meter height out of the bed, directly on the face and on the ribs. I had also fallen into a swoon. I stayed for a week in the hospital. I also had for several months rib confusions, pain in the chest. I often had also spontaneous amnesia, difficulties in orientation, so much so that I sometimes could not remember in my own home which room is, where is the living room, where is the door. Complete blackout, especially when it comes to numbers. Remember phone number? Impossible. Then I thought, oh God, hopefully now I do not get Alzheimer or something similar. Nor all this, thank God, became much better. But it is still so that it is sometimes difficult for me to think ahead spontaneously. For example, such a video where I write nothing for me, no notes, no keywords. Sorry for the many where I think forward and speak as fast as I think. Then it is so that I sometimes have slips of the tongue, or that I say something wrong because I do not take time to think. But I notice that later, and then I correct it. Just as with a picture of Archangel Michael, which I myself had done. But that is not so important. It's just that the angel was already here, and it is also a symbol. If I rent an apartment and there's already an angel, and the angel stands between thousands of furniture and bulky waste, and it has a broken wing, then the broken wing itself is a symbol, because that's life. These are all information from the space. This means that Michael himself, because he has to fall so deep, because he seeks Saturn, must fall deeper than all the others, so deep come down. And that is to say, when one sees the two wings as symbols for the angel being, for the very behaved with a halo, that one wing breaks off, because there is no other way. You must dive so deeply because you want to save the whole earth, the whole world. Then you have to dive as deep that you carry everything on your shoulders from below. And then you rise with everything you carry up again, upwardly. And that means the repair of the wing. It's not lost, it can heal. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. And immediately it goes on. I'm touched. It touched me all. I'm touchable. This is, for example, also an experience that shows how life plays. It's about 6 or 7 years ago. I, in the evening, drove to Oberkirch. Oberkirch is a small town. Oberkirch means all names have a meaning, upper church. This is a symbolism. It means pay attention to what happens to you there. There I drove my car. This was because we in a part of it lived, a village that belongs to this district, Oberkirch. Suddenly I was passed by a small car. Then it brakes right in front of me, so that I also had to brake heavily. And then I see back on the depot siding is Jesus Christ written in illuminated letters. It was late in the evening. Then I thought, okay, again the term Jesus Christ. Anyway, I then this guy, his name is Uwe, met a few days later. We have talked and I visited him a few times. He lived with his girlfriend Claudia somewhere very modest. They lived on welfare. Claudia was ill, she had only one leg. I was 4 or 5 times with them, because I've noticed there's a certain spiritual level on which I can communicate with them, what I cannot with many people, because I do not have or do not want such perception. But these two had a great sensitivity. It was also very interesting to talk with them. One day Claudia had hugged me goodbye. She said to me, Andreas, you hopefully know that you are the good. Wow, I was touched again very deeply. That was the last time that I saw her. Shortly after she died, she had cancer. Yes, that's life. So it happens. These are other messages. There are other information. These are information from the true life itself. This is something completely different than when I turn on a TV or radio and be there hungry for news. Without spirit, without any death, anywhere almost all negative. Yes, okay, this I take as the second part of Soul Life. If it comes to mind something new, I make part 3. This was also a correction, but there is still very, very much what I can tell, what I experienced. Okay. So